You believe you are free. You are not. You have never met a single day of your life as a free person. I do not say this to wound you. I say it because no one else will, and because the prison you live in has a door, and the door has never once been locked. The prison is built from other people's eyes. You have lived your whole life inside the question of how you appear, what they thought when you spoke, what they will think if you fail, what they might be saying now in rooms you will never enter, about a version of you that exists only in their passing attention. You have edited your words for them, chosen your work for them, held your tongue, held your dreams, held your breath for an audience. And here is the discovery that has broken my heart 10,000 times across the centuries. The audience is not watching. Let me show you what I have watched instead. I watched a young man with a gift for making things with his hands. Wood obeyed him, but the men of his town respected ledgers, not lathes. And so he became a keeper of ledgers, and he was good at it, and he hated it quietly for 40 years. The respect he bought with his life was this. At his funeral, the men of the town stayed for 1 hour, spoke mostly of the weather, and went home. 40 years traded for 1 hour of weather. I watched a woman who said yes. Yes to every request, every demand, every small theft of her time, because no was a word that might make someone frown, and a frown was unbearable to her. She said yes for so long that when, late in her life, something in her finally tried to say no, she found the word had gone. Not refused, gone. The way a path through a field disappears when no one walks it. And I watched an old man, sharper than both of them, who saw the whole game in his final year. He had spent his life performing for a tribunal of judges, his father long dead, his rivals who had forgotten him, neighbors, schoolmates, strangers on a road 60 years gone. In his last months, he understood that the tribunal had never convened. Each judge had been too busy performing for a tribunal of their own. The whole world, he said to me, is a courtroom where every person is on trial, and no one ever showed up to judge. He laughed when he said it, but his eyes did not laugh, because the verdict he had waited for all his life was never coming, and the waiting had been the sentence. I have sat at the end of countless lives. The regret I hear above every other regret is not about money, and it is not about love. It is this. I lived the life they expected. I never lived the one that was mine. Now I will ask you the question, and I want you to actually answer it, here, in the quiet, where no one can see your answer and approve of it. Whose voice is loudest in your head right now? When you imagine being judged, whose face does the judgment wear? A parent, a teacher from decades ago, someone from your past who has not thought of you in years. Is the voice even yours? Because here is what I have learned about that voice. It is almost always a guest who moved in during your childhood, when you were small and their approval was survival. It was useful then, it kept you fed and safe. But the guest never left. You grew and it stayed, and now it sits at the head of your table, deciding your life. And you have mistaken its voice for your own for so long that you no longer hear the difference. There was an emperor I knew. He ruled more of the world than any man alive, and every eye in that world was on him, which made him the least free man in it, unless he solved this exact problem. So he worked at it nightly, in a journal he never meant anyone to read. And the thought he kept returning to, in different words, year after year, was this. It never stopped amazing him that every man loves himself more than he loves anyone else, yet trusts every other man's opinion of him more than he trusts his own. Read that again slowly inside yourself. You love yourself most. You trust yourself least. That is the crack in the human heart that the whole prison is built upon. And he found that emperor only one repair. We are not capable of not caring. I will not lie to you the way the loud teachers do. The need for the tribe's approval is older than language. It is in the body. You cannot remove it. But you can starve it. And you starve it the way you starve anything. You stop feeding it, one meal at a time. I will tell you who taught me that, because it was not the emperor. It was a slave. A man born owned, with a lame leg his master gave him, who had less standing in the world than the furniture in his master's house. And he became the freest man I have ever known, because he discovered the one thing no chain could reach. No one, he used to say, can harm you without your opinion joining in. The emperor read that slave's teachings by lamplight and called him master. Think on that. The most powerful man alive and the least, arriving at the same door, and only one of them was born with the key. So here is the practice. It is small. The real ones always are. Once each day do one thing without explaining it. One thing chosen purely because it is yours. Wear the thing, say the no. Order what you actually want. Decline the gathering and offer no excuse because an excuse is a payment and you are done making payments. Take the walk that serves no purpose anyone would applaud. One act a day that requires no witness and seeks no verdict. It will feel wrong. I must prepare you for this, because the feeling is where everyone turns back. The first unexplained no will set off every alarm your childhood installed. Your chest will tighten. The guest at the head of the table will stand up and shout that you are in danger. You are not in danger. You are in a doorway. That discomfort is the feeling of a cage beginning to open. It is the hinge, stiff after a lifetime unused, finally moving. The people who turn back at that feeling stay inside forever, comforted, approved of, and unlived. The ones who stand still inside the discomfort and let it pass discover the secret on the other side of it. Nothing happens. That is the secret. That is all of it. The disapproval you braced your whole life against arrives as a shrug or a moment's gossip, or most often as nothing at all, because the audience was never watching. They are at home, lying awake, replaying their own foolish words to a tribunal of their own. The whole world is a room full of people too worried about themselves to notice you. There is a strange freedom in that, perhaps the largest freedom there is, and it has been waiting outside your unlocked door the entire time. So tonight, I leave you with the work, and the work is one act. Tomorrow, one thing, unexplained, witnessed by no one, approved by no one, entirely and only yours. The judges will not come. They were never coming. The door was never locked. Sit with this. Let it find its place in you.